Yo, what's good? How y'all doing? Give y'all a minute to come through. It's hot as a motherfucker today, boy. It's a hot day, hot day. Right now it's about 95 degrees as I drive into Georgia on my way back to the Airbnb. Hope you guys enjoyed your weekend. All my freedom lovers, freedom family, freedom fighters, and freedom lovers. It is Sunday, June 30th, 2024. July 1st is tomorrow, so, you know, 4th of July is right around the corner. 4th of July is right around the corner. They call that the Independence Day for some people. Marcy T, what's good? What is good with you? My damn glasses are all smudged up and I ain't got no goddamn wipes. Anyway, I wanted to just shoot the shit, man, about a lot of the issues that we're facing in this world today and why we're facing them. Why we're facing them. And really, these, what I'm about to touch on today, these are not new issues, right? There's nothing new under the sun, right? But at the same time, sunlight is the best sanitizer. But there's nothing new under the sun. Because everything that is going on that will happen has happened before. Just in a different way. You know what I'm saying? And there's a clear pattern. There's a clear pattern. And what I've discovered is that very few people have the capacity to think critically, y'all. You see, there are two types of critical thinkers. There are two types of critical thinkers, right? In my mind. Nicolette Moore, what's good? I ain't seen you in a minute. By hearing you here and by it, what's good? Oh, the ladies have joined me. The first two people in the building are the ladies. Nice. So anyway, there are two types of critical thinkers. And it's going to sound very black and white. Well, that's because critical thinkers take action. Okay, and so there can only be two types of critical thinkers in my mind. There are the critical thinkers that are power hungry and set out to control and to rule over everything, or as much as they can. And then there are the critical thinkers that set out to resist those who try to control and assume power over everything. Those are the two types of critical thinkers that exist in the world today. And those two types of critical thinkers are at odds 24/7. 24/7 because the first set of critical thinker I told you about, they have an agenda. They have an agenda. And their agenda is to lull the sheep to sleep so that they can do what they want. And it is the other critical thinkers, right, that resist that melatonin, that set out to say, you know what, fuck that. I'm not going to go to sleep. I'm going to be wide awake. I'm going to be loud. And I'm going to try to wake up other motherfuckers. So, again, they are always at odds. But what is the driving, what is it that gives them the leverage they have. Because the critical thinkers that resist tyranny, that resist control, right? The free thinkers, the freedom lovers, right? The freedom-minded individuals. They need leverage just like the tyrants do. Just like the freedom snatchers. Just like the assholes, right? That essentially rule over everything. And what is that leverage? Can you guys guess? If you guys can tell me what the leverage is, I can assume that you guys are also critical thinkers. You can leave it in the comment section or you can leave it in the chat. But the leverage that each type of critical thinker needs are those who don't think critically. That's the leverage, right? That is the leverage. Because the tyrants, the dictators, the rulers, well, they can't do that without the people allowing them to be tyrants and dictators. They need the followers, they need the sheep to go along with what they got going on. And sad as it is to say, the freedom lovers also need these sheep, these followers, these non-critical thinkers, because they need also to sway people to their side to achieve what they set out to do. And there is never a balance, right? Or the balance is delicate. There's a delicate balance. And this dance is perpetual. As long as people exist on this earth, you're going to have people that are going to try to control, and you're going to have those that are going to resist control. It is always going to be that way. It is always going to be that way. It's never going to stop. If there's true freedom, if let's say true freedom rings all across the world, everybody has freedom. Well, it's not going to last long, right? Because there's always going to be those individuals that are going to try to take advantage of their own freedom and try to manipulate people, use their cunning, use their charisma to get over on people, to get them to do things that they normally would not do on their own. And that's what it's going to be. And in a world where there are governments, in a world where there are rulership, where there is rulership, in a world where there is dictatorship, you're always going to have people that are going to try to rise up and resist that and achieve true freedom. That is something that is always going to be the case. And the point is not if you are an anarchist, or if you believe in true freedom, if you're a true freedom lover and whatnot, something along that line, you understand that your freedom will always be tested. Your freedom will always be attacked, no matter what. Because there are those who don't believe that people should be free. And some of those people, many of them, most of them, are the ones that don't think critically. Those are the ones that are the sheep. Those are the ones that are okay with other people determining how to live their lives. They're okay with relinquishing control over themselves to others, to whatever degree. To whatever degree. But if you see, the critical thinkers that are the rulers, that are the dictators, that are the tyrants, they understand, right, that they have to give the illusion They have to give the illusion that the people that they rule over are actually free. And what does this do? What does this do? Well, the people that are being ruled over, the non-critical thinkers, well, they don't want to have to think about what freedom really is. They don't want to have to think about how to fend for themselves, how to ensure that their families are going to be okay no matter what. They don't want to have to collect storable food items. They don't want to have to worry about, living off the grid. They don't want to have to worry about hunting for their own food. They don't want to have to worry about being uncomfortable. Because freedom is uncomfortable, y'all. True freedom is uncomfortable as fuck. Because no one is going to provide you with anything outside of yourself. No one is going, let's say you're a man of the household. You're the man of the household. You have a wife, you have children. And you guys are truly free. Well, you are ultimately responsible for their protection and their provisioning. You're responsible for their shelter. You're responsible for ensuring that they are self-sufficient as they can be. And that is what freedom is, y'all. Freedom is not, you get to do whatever the fuck you want when you want to. See, that's the illusion that they sell you, right? That's the illusion they sell you because you can't. When it's up to you, you have certain responsibilities. Unless, of course, you just plan on not giving a fuck and you're like, well, whatever happens, happens. I'm going to chill and I'm just going to let things be what they are. No. Because freedom is not about shit just happening for you when you want it to happen. Freedom is actually about hard work. With true freedom comes the most difficult and arduous work you ever have to do in your life. That's what freedom is about, y'all. That's what freedom is about. Freedom is not about everybody doing what the fuck they want to do when they want to do it. Freedom is about being willing and volunteering to participate in what you want to participate in. That's what freedom is about. But it takes work to make shit work, right? That's what freedom is. That's what freedom is. But your action does not come at the expense of others when you're free. But it can, right? It can. If you live in a community where your actions and your decisions affect other people. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? You live in a community, you have to consider other people. But guess what? Everybody within that community voluntarily participates in what goes on in that community. And it's a little more cohesive and you have a little more security because everybody is doing the work, right? When everybody does the work, shit runs a lot more smoothly. And when you have a leader that understands that, that's not about dictating and being a tyrant and trying to control other people, well, that works out too. But even within a community where you have that, you are constantly going to be attacked. You're going to be attacked by nature, and you're going to be attacked by the elements. You're going to be attacked by those who see what you have and want to take it over, or want to take from you, or want to steal from you, or take advantage of you, or want to do harmful things to the people within your community. It's a constant thing, man. Well, what does government bring you? Government brings you the illusion of safety at the expense of your freedom. And at the same time, they'll tell you that you're free. They tell you you're free, but they'll tax the shit out of you, right? They tell you that you had a freedom of speech, but guess what? They'll constantly work to remove your freedom of speech, right? This is what is going on in society today. What's going on in society today is that everybody are fucking idiots. Yeah. People are fucking idiots, y'all. The most critical issue we are facing today as a society is the lack of those who think critically. And with all the information in the world at our fingertips, with these damn devices and the damn internet, you would think that it would spark an interest in critical thinking in people. But no, that's not what it does, man. That's not what it does at all. Instead, what it does is, this is what people do with all this access, right? With all this access, with all this exposure that you can have, right? Exposure to people that you would never meet without the internet. It strips them of even more critical thinking, right? Because everybody can think critically. Everybody has that capacity. It's just, there's levels to that. There's levels to it. And what I have found being in this space is that, unfortunately, less people have critical thinking skills today than they ever did before. And it's getting worse. It's getting worse. And it just, it makes me want to more and more get off grid, take my family, get off grid, go dark, and never fuck with people ever again. It makes me want to do that. But I know, unfortunately, that is not a luxury that I have. Because I can go in the mountains somewhere and live off the land and do what I got to do for my family and probably be pretty successful, be pretty successful with it. But the problem is there will always be those government entities getting in my business. They'll want to collect taxes. They'll want to regulate this, regulate that. They'll want me to, if I decide to go hunting, oh, you have a license on you today? Where's your license? If I want to go fishing, you got your fishing license today? There's always going to be somebody in my motherfucking business. It doesn't matter where in the world you go. The only place where you can escape this is probably in the Amazon somewhere, but probably not for too much longer, because they all up and through the Amazon trying to farm. Mass farming. Thanks to the, thanks to this addiction to vegetables that we have, vegetables and fruit and plant food, thanks to that, thanks to the monocropping, thanks to all that, thanks to all this mass agriculture, where there's not enough space to feed everybody in the world, so they got to make it, which is bullshit, by the way. There's plenty of food for everybody in the world right now, right? Of course, in certain areas, you got famine and whatnot, but that also has to do with what? Think about the places in the world where they do starve, where they do have famine issues and droughts and whatnot, and they can't get around to do what they got to do. What do you have? You have colonialists, right? You have colonialists all over the world, going all over the world, trying to extract every resource everybody has to control it for themselves. There are always going to be those people. And this shit permeates and invades every aspect of life right now. I can't even enjoy boxing anymore, right? I can't enjoy boxing like I used to because everybody has to dramatize it. Everybody has to pull the bullshit. Everybody has to sell lies. They have to make everything an issue. They have to, and why? Because everybody has to choose a side. Everybody has to attach themselves to a personality that they feel speaks to them the best. When most of these people are full of shit. Most of these people that you guys cling to are not like that in real life, man. They're not. And these people, man, they your eagerness to be a part of what they got going on, I'll say. They use that to their advantage to spread lies, propaganda, you know what I mean? To push narratives, false narratives. And that's a problem. Because no one fact checks. No one says, you know what? I'm not going to just take your word for it. Let me go see about this myself. Because the information is there at your fingertips. Think about it. Think about it. I want y'all to think about that for a minute. Think about how you allow other people to think for you and to speak for you, and how they use you to further their agenda, whatever that agenda might be. And when I get on here and I try to talk about certain things, and I try to discuss factual information, and I try to bring about a level of common sense, what do I get? Oh, it's just stupid shit. I'm not even gonna get into it. I was gonna give examples, but it don't really matter, right? It don't really matter. A lot of it is fucking surface level, superficial bullshit, right? You can't argue a point that I make, so you have to attack me personally. Not even attack, really. I mean, you know, you guys have to talk about certain shit that's just real weird and real sus. Y'all get on y'all sus shit, and I'm like, what the fuck is this about, man? You know what I'm saying? What is this sus behavior? And that's another thing, man. It's another thing. The birth rates. I ain't gonna get into that either, man. I'm gonna just say this, man. You know, we don't really need everybody to think critically. It just doesn't happen, right? You know, many people don't have the wherewithal or the capacity to do this. And it's not really about intelligence, right? It's not really about, you don't have to be a genius to think critically, man. You just have to say to yourself, well, do I want to believe everything everybody says? When I hear some shit that don't make sense, do I just want to run with it because I like a person? This motherfucker said some crazy shit, but, you know, oh, he seems really cool. I want to be like this guy. So I'm just going to believe it. And is that how we want to think, man? Is that how we want to move through life? Think about that. Think about that. Not everybody has to be a high level critical thinker. Not everybody has to be that way. But everybody should think critically to some degree, right? To some degree, like, is that not possible, or is it just like, you know, is it just human nature? Is it human nature for, if there are, well, they tell you there's billions of people on the planet. I don't know how many motherfucking people there are on the planet. I don't know how they could know how many people there are on the planet. Who knows? But think about this. It's hot today, right? It's hot as a motherfucker. And they're telling you about this climate change stuff, right? Every year, they tell you, oh, this day was the hottest day of the year, or hottest day ever recorded. When it's fucking bullshit, right? But no one says, you know what? Let me go look at that real quick. Let me go through time and check the recorded history of certain areas of the world and see how hot it's been. No, they tell you, oh, it's the hottest day ever in the world ever. It's never been hotter at any point in the world, and that's fucking, that's a lie. But they tell you that, so what? So that they can assume more control, man. That's what it's all about. But there have been hotter days at this time of year within the last 10 years, within the last 5 years. Think about that. It has been hotter than this at this time of year. It has been. Or it's been as hot. But they'll tell you it's the hottest day of the year. They'll tell you, oh, it's record temperatures. They tell you that. But these temperatures have been these temperatures before. They'll tell you, oh, a bunch of people died in Saudi Arabia because it was 120-something degrees. Okay, well, that may be true, but that's happened before. Saudi Arabia is a fucking desert where it gets hot as fuck. Where it's been 130 and 140-something degrees at periods in history. But, it is what it is. But then you go to other parts of the world, and it's cooler than it's ever been. Right? It's a lot cooler today. It's cooler. We have record low temperatures in certain parts of the world today. Yeah, that's real shit. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know, man. I just felt like talking about this because we're reaching a critical mass, man. We're at a fork in the road right now. We're at a fork in the road. We got an election coming up this year. We got millions of undocumented people in this motherfucker. And we have the perfect storm for a false flag event. I know I keep talking about this false flag event. This is just me theorizing, speculating, hypothesizing. I don't know for a fact that this is going to happen, but hey, everything they do is for a reason, man. Everything they do is for a reason. Just like with the Modelo 19, right? Remember that? Just like with 9/11, right? Everything they do, everything that happens is to further an agenda. You know what I'm saying? So that is really what I'm talking about here today. But we have every opportunity in the world to ensure that we are best equipped to deal with it. We can. Again, we have information at our fingertips that we never had before. That's one advantage. That's one advantage we have today. There's other advantages, but that's one advantage, right? And another advantage is being able to communicate with people of like mind that you've never met before, that you never had the opportunity to do before social media. You have more opportunity to link up and connect with other people. And then, of course, you vet them and make sure that they are really on the same wavelength, you know what I'm saying? And then you move forward from there. You move forward from there, and you do the best you can do. Look, nothing is guaranteed, man. Nothing is guaranteed. You can wake up half of the world tomorrow, and we can still end up being fucked. Or you can wake up no one. You can wake up 10% of the people, and hell, we succeed in reducing the level of tyranny that is thrown at us. You see the big problem here? Let me give y'all something. Let me tell y'all something, man. I want y'all to think about this. The clown shoe Lucas, the amazing Lucas, as you guys know him, who I hardly ever, I don't even watch his shit. Sometimes it's good to get information from the people that you feel are adversary to you, just to know what they're thinking. But at some point, you know, they don't change up. At some point, you learn exactly how this motherfucker behaves, how he operates, and how he moves. And so you're like, okay, well, that's enough of that. But I did watch a video of his. And this is what I want you to really pay attention to. And this is why I say critical thinking is very important. He did a video, I forgot exactly what the video was about. I think it was about some, I don't know. I don't think it was about the racist white couple that adopted black people, black kids to use as slaves. I think it might be that video. It might be that video. And he talked about how he said something about to the effect that he was not a statist, right? Said he wasn't a statist. Okay, you're not a statist, all right. Said he wasn't a statist in one video, but then in a live stream, to which, I mean, I only read the title of the live stream. He said Biden is the better pick for president. Change his mind. Think about that. In one breath, you say you're not a statist, and in the next, you say that that Joe Biden is the best choice for president, and you also say that President Biden won the debate. Okay, but you're not a statist. So why are you even talking about who would be the best for president? The idea of a presidency of a country of hundreds of millions of people, oh shit, fuck. Man, I ran over an animal. That was already ran over. It was already ran over. It was ran over, it was in the middle of the road. One guy in front of me ran over it and I ran over it. It was already dead. But anyway, a man tells you he's not a statist. And then a man tells you that he thinks that Joe Biden is the best pick for president and that he won the debate. What? First of all, let's talk about that debate. You say Joe Biden won the debate, but you heard what he said about the illegal immigrants coming over here killing our children. And he tells you, that don't matter. Basically, he says, you shouldn't gripe about that when we have American citizens killing children. You have in-laws and uncles and parents killing children. So why make a big deal out of immigrants killing people? Fuck it. That man said that. But he won the debate. Anyway, you tell people that you're not a statist, and then you tell people to convince you that Joe Biden is not the best pick for president. If you're not a statist, you don't believe in presidents. You don't believe in governments, right? If you're not a statist, you believe in freedom. You believe in self-sufficiency. You believe in controlling your own life. You believe in the golden rule. You believe in common sense. You believe in that as not a statist. Because either you're a statist or you're not. And if you're a statist, you believe in a government structure in which this entity, that entity, overseen and controlled by a select few individuals, sets rules and sets boundaries and collects and extorts and all this other shit, commits numerous amounts of crimes in the name of what? In the name of what? In the name of serving your country. This man told you he's a statist, not a statist, and then he told you that he thinks Biden should be president. Well, you shouldn't even be entertaining that idea as a statist. You should be talking about why there should be no presidents after this year. You should be talking about how we move toward removing the shackles one link at a time. What is the best method and modality to ensuring that we gain our freedom back? Can't do it all at once, right? Because of course you gotta, take things step by step. You remove layers of, you have to remove layers, one layer at a time of the government structure, right? Start with the central government, remove that. Then you go back down to the state governments. Then you work on removing that. You get rid of the idea of the governorship and all this other type of shit, and go and strip it down to the barest community. Because the leaders of those smaller communities, not the rulers, the leaders of those smaller communities will have a better understanding of the needs of the individuals within that community. But you want to talk about presidents and who's the best president for this and the best president for that. Even though you've, over the years, have gone over why the Democrats and the Republicans are full of shit. But see, he'll tell you that he's not a statist, but then tell you why not having statism or statism not existing is not going to work. He'll argue you up and down about why, that level of freedom wouldn't work. No, that wouldn't work. Oh, you need this, you need that, you need this infrastructure, you need this, that, you need this government to ensure that this is happening, blah, blah, blah. When really all you need is people. All you need is people that know how to do shit. We have the ability, right, as human beings, to build things. We can use tools, we can use math, we can use all this technology to make shit happen and make shit work. We can build bridges, we can build buildings, we can study medicine, we can build hospitals for that. We can do all these things and have been doing it in some form or fashion for thousands of years. Right? But you don't need government to do that. You don't need government to understand how to, build a bridge. You don't need that. You just need an understanding of engineering, an understanding of math. You need an understanding of, how much steel are you going to need for this column to hold this bridge up? How many columns? Across how much space? You know what I'm saying? These are things that you can work out with other individuals that have this level of knowledge. But you don't need government for that to happen. You can make things work without government. It's that simple. They want you to think it's complicated. They want you to think life is complicated without government. They want you to think life is complicated without government-controlled police departments. They want you to think that. They want you to think that being self-sufficient is out of the realm of possibility. And they sell you on it by telling you, oh, well, who's going to, well, without the police, who's going to protect you? Without the hospitals, who's going to make sure you don't die from something? Who's going to make sure that you don't get sick? Or that if you break a bone, who's going to make sure, who's going to set the bones? Who's going to do that? Who's going to fix this road? Huh? Who's going to fix these pipes, these sewage pipes? Huh? Who's going to fix the transformer if there's a voltage spike and it blows up? Who's going to fix that? Well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you a good example of who could do that. Last week, at one of the old projects I was on, up the road from the one I'm at now, 4 transformers blew up. Yeah. Yep. 4 transformers blew up. Big transformers, big utility transformers. Coming from the utility into the building. They blew up. Why? Well, because it was hot as fuck. And the conductors got really hot. There was a voltage spike with the voltage spike, with the heat, heated up the underground pipes. And the connection to the transformers got really hot as well and blew up. Yeah. It got so hot. That's how hot it got. Now, really, it was, so you got a duct bank, right? A duct bank with all these underground PVC conduits in it. And there's like 6 layers of conduits. Or 4 layers. And the top layer, the conductors got real hot. It melted through the PVC, went down into the next 4, right, conduits below it. And that's, or next 3. So it hit, the top one got hot, then it melted down to the one below that and the one below that. 4 transformers blew up. Okay? And, you know, guess who came to fix it? Guess who went out there to fix that shit? It shut down production for at least 3 weeks. So it's going to be down for 3 or 4 weeks. That building is not going to be operating for at least 3 weeks. But who's fixing it right now? Government? No. The government's not fixing it. The government's not fixing it. No, my fucking company is fixing it. Individuals, men. The men, such as myself, who ensured that all this shit got put in the first place. The men who ensured that all those VFDs were up and running. And that the men that tested the insulation to make sure that there were no holes or anything in the insulation. Where do you think I got this knowledge from? About harmonic distortion and voltage spikes and motherfucking... What did the government just imbue me with this knowledge? Did they say, oh, great Marcus, here's this knowledge of electric? No, motherfucker, I went to school. Who ran the school? Did the government run it? No, the motherfucking government didn't run the school. It was a school ran by motherfucking individuals. Just like individuals make up government to make the government run. Guess what? Individuals can get together and make sure other shit runs and works and operates properly. You don't need government for that. You just need to understand that, hey man, we're doing this for all our best interest. You think about it. You say, oh, you come up with solutions. You problem solve. Problem solve. Think about it. Come up with solutions. You know what I'm saying? You know what government is? All the government is a group of people who decided that they wanted to control other larger groups of people. And so they said that, but they had to sell you on it. They had to sell you through the threat of, you know, the King George coming back and trying to take over again. That's how they sold the government, right? That's how they sold the central government to the non-federalists, the anti-federalists. So you had the federalists and the anti-federalists. The anti-federalists were like, nah, we ain't with that. We ain't with no central government. We just went through some bullshit with England. We just got free of that. But now y'all trying to present us with this central government concept? No, we ain't rolling with that. Well, they said, okay, well, we'll come up with these bills. They said, we don't want this fucking constitution. You don't even have a Bill of Rights in this bitch. Because every colony in the 13 colonies had a constitution. Yeah. And that's how they sold them on. Okay, let's put this Bill of Rights in here, shut these motherfuckers up, and form this central government. And you know what, man? It might have been the founding fathers' very intent to ensure that merry old England didn't try to come back with some bullshit. That might have been the intent. It may have very well have been the intent, but it is government. And it is a government ran by motherfuckers who greed for power. That's how this shit got. That's how the inception began. That's how the government was formed. They sold the anti-federalists on this idea that we needed to come together under this framework to protect this entire country, when it didn't have to be like that. It didn't have to be like that. They could have formed a treaty, right? They could have all had their own little militaries, and the only thing that needed to come together was the military, right? If we ever came under threat of a foreign country that intended to, invade and harm us and try to take over, well, all you need is a treaty among the colonies, a treaty among the states to say, all right, man, well, when this threat arises, our militaries will form together like motherfucking Voltron, and we'll beat that bitch back. And yeah, train the military together. Let's train them together. Let's do that. Okay, that's fine. But every colony could have had their sovereignty, complete sovereignty. You just enlisted your military to ensure that the land that the colonies existed on stayed secure, right? And what about international trade and whatnot? Okay, well, each colony, they're responsible for their own international motherfucking trade. Trade amongst each other and trade amongst other countries. You know what I'm saying? It could have worked. And yes, those 13 colonies, they were still governments, but they were much smaller governments, right? And I don't believe in any government, any size. But, who knows how those 13 colonies could have existed, and what more colonies could have sprang up from that in different parts of the country that operated as they saw fit. But no, they had to sell us this idea that we needed to form together as a central government in perpetuity to keep, in the name of safety, y'all. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. The name of safety and security. But in order to do that, we have to lay taxes on them. We got to do that. Yeah, we got to hit y'all with that tax. We got to get y'all with that federal tax. Because, everything we do costs money. The government doesn't produce anything. So how do they get resources? Well, they take it from you. They take your resources to operate. That's what the government does. The government cannot, they can't. The government can produce shit. They need to extract. All they do is extract. That's all they do. To this motherfucking day, they've never produced anything. They've always extracted. That was just something that Lincoln did because it was necessary. It was a means to an end. He didn't give a fuck about no goddamn slave. He said it. He said that if he could end the Civil War without freeing slaves, if he could keep the Union together or to keep the country united without freeing slaves, he would do that. No. The Civil War was about extraction of wealth, right? Extraction of wealth. Because cotton was a hot commodity worldwide, y'all. And, well, they weren't producing motherfucking cotton in the south, in the north. No. And so when these certain states decided they wanted to secede, well, Lincoln was like, man, if they do that, man, we're gonna lose a lot of motherfucking trade power. We're gonna lose a hot commodity. We can't let that happen, because essentially those states will have a lot of the power, right? Because of the trade element, right? They'd have a lot more of the wealth. They would have a lot more leverage. So that's why the Civil War started, because Lincoln did not want those states to secede, because, well, his precious little government, his precious federal government, would not have gotten the wealth behind the cotton. And it was also about, you know, of course, the states did not, these certain states did not want to lose the ability to keep their slaves. They didn't want to lose their slaves too. So that's what it's always about. It was also about that they wanted to be able to have their slaves and eat it too, and keep their cotton fucking profits and all that type of shit. But at the end of the day, that was also like, I mean, they had the cotton gin, so the need for slaves were really not that great when the cotton gin was invented. So there are a lot of reasons, man. Lincoln saw that government power, the power that he had from that federal government that he was in charge of, well, it was in danger of crumbling. He was in danger of losing that. So yeah, that's why the Civil War started, y'all. He didn't give a fuck about no goddamn slave. Shit, that motherfucker could care less. Could care less. No, it was about keeping the Union together, because that was the best way to maintain his control over the wealth. And at the end of the day, that's what the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 was about. Oh yeah. The Federal Reserve Act of 1913 was about, listen, man, we need to better control the credit in the fund and the wealth of this country without any threat from or threat of any type of secession or anything like that. We need to be able to maintain our foothold over the wealth in this country. So they created the Federal Reserve Act. They passed the Federal Reserve Act in 1913. They created the Federal Reserve, and from there sprang the IRS and Department of Treasury and all that type of shit. Yeah. You see, all this shit that they've done was to ensure that they had the wealth of the country in their hands and the control over the people. You understand? That's what that's about. And what was the death knell? What was the death knell that locked us in? What was the death knell that locked us in? Well, I believe that there was a president known as Nixon who ended the gold standard. Yeah. He ended the gold standard. So therefore, our money was no longer backed by gold. What did that do? Well, What that does is it allows the Federal Reserve to control the value of our money. Yeah. Because if it's backed by gold and gold is limited, well, the buying power of your dollar, which is supposed to be backed by gold, is a lot greater. They can't devalue it as they so choose. They can't print money out of nowhere as they so choose with the gold standard, because there's only so much gold. And because they were losing all these other countries' gold, because they started a war in Vietnam, and these countries were like, well, they have our gold, and they're fucking starting they're starting this war. Whoa. So they came and got their gold back. So guess what? They had to essentially get off the gold standard because they were using other countries' gold to print money. Yeah. They were using other countries' gold to print money to fund a war we had no business being in. These countries saw the writing on the wall. They said, let's go get our gold back. So they had to get off the gold standard, y'all. They had to get on fiat currency. Then they formed a deal with OPEC, right? They funded a deal. They came up with something with OPEC because our dollar had to be backed by something. They had to have something, right? They can't, even with fiat currency, you still have to have your dollar attached to something that gives it value. Because what fiat currency is about, it's currency that you believe is valuable, right? It's based on belief. Well, with oil, right, with our money tied to oil, which means basically that in order to get oil from the OPEC countries, you have to exchange it for US dollars. So you exchange your money for US dollars if you are in the country, including China, including Russia. They started pumping their own oil and whatnot. But other countries, they had to go through and they had to use US currency to buy their oil. There we go. Hey, we got something, right? That is what allowed the US dollar to hold some level of perceived value. And that's what is doing it to this day. But they're still printing more money than that illusion can uphold. Right? Especially with the Modelo 19. When Modelo 19 came through and your boy Donald Trump said, fuck it, let's just spend $6 trillion. And then every other fucking bill after that went to funding bullshit. Hey man, like now we have what they call that? What's that type of inflation that is just out of control? I forgot. Free falling inflation, whatever the fuck you want to call it. There's a word for it, I forgot. But that's what we're going through right now, y'all. And they're telling us this shit. They raise the interest rates. Right? They had to raise the interest rates. You understand what I'm saying? And their grasp on the value of the dollar is crumbling in their fingers right now because Saudi Arabia, or not Saudi, OPEC is removing the dollar as the trade currency for the oil. They're working on doing that right now. They're going to be using gold-backed currency with China and other countries. They're throwing their gold in. Yeah. The same shit that Gaddafi was trying to do in Africa. The reason they really killed his ass. Huh? Why do you think they killed Gaddafi? Well, if the African Union used gold dinar as their currency, that would be a lot more enticing And that would crumble the dollar. That would reduce the value of the dollar like you would never perceive. And if OPEC goes through and completes this process of removing the dollar as the currency that other countries have to use to buy oil, we're fucked. There's no amount of money printing. There's no amount of gold that our country has to try to back the amount of money that they have printed over the decades. There's just not enough of it. Not enough. So what is that going to do? Well, that's going to raise prices quite exponentially. Y'all think it's that bad now. You might need a wheelbarrow full of money to buy a loaf of fucking bread. You understand what I'm saying? If you want to get a gallon of milk, it might cost $100 for a gallon of milk. You're going to go to work and you're going to get $800 an hour. You're going to get $100 an hour. Oh, man. And that ain't going to do shit for you, man. Why do you think they're trying to raise the minimum wage now? Why do you think they're so desperate to do that? Because they know that at some point, that $20 an hour is going to be more like $3 an hour. You understand what I'm saying? Listen, like I said, we're reaching critical mass, y'all. This model is not sustainable. It never has been. The model is not sustainable. What model am I talking about? The government model. The model where a few elite motherfuckers rule over hundreds of millions of people. You can't possibly do that effectively. You can't. You can't in these representatives. Even if you got two senators per state, and however many Congress people per state, based on the number of counties you have, based on the number of districts, whatever you want to say. Even that one congressperson in that fucking district of 80,000 people you cannot represent the interest of all 80,000 people. And if you can't represent the interest of all 80,000 people, you can't represent the interest of nobody.
Speed check reported ahead on I-20
You can't. Especially with these special interest groups and these corporations constantly stuffing money down your fucking bra to make shit happen for them. Because Jerry, the security guard that works at fucking Piggly Wiggly, well, he can't give you that money. You can't say, hey man, here's $100,000. Pass this law to help me out. He's not gonna fucking. He can't do that. He can't do that. He can't do it. He ain't got the money. And him and all the other Jerrys in his neighborhood, maybe there's 100 of them, maybe there's 200. Even those 200 people in that neighborhood, they're not going to be able to get you the money that a motherfucking goddamn Walmart can. Right? They can't do it. So who do you choose as a congressperson? Well, if you want to stay in your party, right? Because remember, there are these conventions. There's the Democratic National Convention. There's a Republican Convention. There's these, Republican groups and Democratic groups that, they took you on and they said, as long as you toe the line, we'll back you. Back you in your next election. We'll back you here. We'll back you there. Well, if you don't go with what the fuck they want you to go with, well, they're going to drop your ass. Yeah. They're going to get rid of you. They're going to censor you. That's what they're going to do. Either I get censored by my party, or I take this $300,000 donation from Walmart and I allow them to tear down this mom and pop store, that mom and pop store, clear some trees. You know what I'm saying? Fuck off that river over there. Damn it, reroute it. We're gonna let them do that for a few $100,000. What do you think they gonna choose, man? So, the best bet you have is to say, yo, you know what? Don't listen to us no more. You are going to be good people when they're free. The bad people that are bad during your tyranny, during your dictatorship, during your rulership, they're going to be bad people when they're free. Listen, the government does not create good or bad people. They don't do that. Again, I told y'all, the government doesn't create anything. They don't produce anything. They don't manifest the shit, but damage and destruction. What they do is they extract. What they do is destroy. What they do is redistribute. They redistribute they rob Peter to pay Paul. And guess what? They're not going to pay Paul unless Paul can rub their balls and give them something a little nice. I'm not going to pay Paul or Paula or Janice. I'm not going to pay this country. I'm not going to give this country billions of dollars unless they do something for me at the end of the day. No. The government cannot exist in altruism. I'm going to say that again. The government cannot exist in altruism. The government cannot do things that are good for people just for the good of the people. They can't. It just does not work, because you know why? They have to take from something else. They have to take from something else to give to something else, and the something else that they give it to has to give them something in return for it to work, because it's staying itself without drawing and extracting and pulling and sucking and being a vampire. The government is a fucking vampire, y'all. Yeah. But the individual can live in altruism. They can. A private corporation can do good for other people. They can live and exist in altruism. They can do that. Because the corporation is producing something. The person is doing something. The guy that's growing the vegetables to sell to the guy down the street, well, he put the work in to produce those vegetables. He produced the vegetables, even though, the nature produced it at the end of the day. But the man, the farmer, guess what? They did the work. They put that seed in the ground, and they encouraged that thing to grow by taking care of it. And all it took is some free energy from the sun, water, and nutrients that exist and will always exist in this closed system that we call Earth. Think about that. Think about that. So, the rancher also produces. And you know how he can do something altruistic? Oh, well, we got some neighbors down the street. They usually buy a gallon of milk from us a week. But this week, or not, they trade for a gallon of milk a week. But this week, well, their alpacas, they didn't produce enough wool. So we're not going to get the wool, but, we're going to help them out. We're going to give them the milk. Who lost? We're going to give you guys the milk for this week. Don't worry about it. Yeah, it's all good. Don't worry about it. Well, who did the rancher take from to give that alpaca farmer some milk? From themselves, from their own cows. I took some milk from my own cow. I bottled it up, and I spent a little bit of my own energy by walking it over there, driving it over there, using my horse, or whatever the fuck I did. But it was mine. I produced it. I gave it away for free. I don't require anything that alpaca farmer, other than when your alpacas start producing wool again, we resume our trade. Boom, mutually beneficial transaction there. That alpaca farmer got some free milk, and the rancher gave it to him out of the kindness of his heart, and he's not expecting shit in return. But if the government were involved, well, guess what? Guess what that government would do? They would say, hey, they'll look at it, they'll get together. They'll get together, conspire, right? That's what they do. That's what government does. Hey, let's do this. That milk farmer, well, that motherfucker got a lot of cows producing a lot of milk. Look at all that beautiful grass over there. Let's look at all that beautiful grass. You know what? I think that I'm going to use the force of my military or the force of my police. I'm going to create a department of agriculture, and I'm gonna say you can't have those cows grazing on that field over there without giving us a tax, right? Now, at the barrel of a government gun, I'm going to extort you for your wealth because you're using your own land to graze your own cows that you got up early in your morning to do. You put in the time and laboring energies to produce that milk at the end of the day. But because we exist as government, and we want to continue to exist as government, I have to tax you. I have to say you got to give me $30, $40 a month to utilize your own fucking land that you pay for. And then you look at the alpaca farmer and you say, hey man, those alpaca farmers, man, they're having a hard time with those alpacas, man. It's been way too humid. You know, the summer lasted a little bit too long, you know what I'm saying? They're not producing the wool. So they look a little bit down. They look like they're going through some issues right now. And then your partner goes, hey man, well, what if we do this? What if we take the milk from the rancher, right? Because they can't trade their alpaca wool with the rancher for any milk. They don't have it. So how are they going to trade it? I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take milk from that rancher and we'll give it to the alpaca farmer. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Okay, what do we get out of it? We give them. Okay, we give them milk. Okay. What do we get out of it? How does that help us as government? You got a point. I tell you what, this is what we'll do. When the weather turns and their alpacas produce a good amount of wool again, we'll take the wool from half of their alpacas instead of 15% of their alpacas, like we agreed on. Like, well, we didn't agree, but we forced that on. But you know, nevertheless, we provide them security and safety, so they have to give us 15% of the profits of their wool. But now we're going to take 50%. We're going to take 50. Well, isn't that going to look crazy? Like, okay, we're going all the way up to 50%. They might cause a little trouble, right? No, we're not going to do 50% all at once. We're going to add 10% every 3 months. We're going to tack on 3% or 10. And then in a few months, we'll be up at the 50%. And yeah, we'll put a few more cops in front of their farm to give the illusion that we're actually there to keep them safe. What a great idea. But they have the right to keep and bear arms. Couldn't they just keep their own farm safe? You got a point there. This is what we got to do. This is what we do. We'll send some guy over there, right? We'll pay some guy, maybe, we'll use that oh so handy brainwashing method we have to have some guy go to his ranch, to go to their farm, and just starts randomly shooting a bunch of people. That's what we'll do. And then we'll say, oh man, we got to initiate some gun control laws, man, to keep y'all safe, man. Yeah, you know what? We can't continue to allow these mass shootings to occur. So we have to pass this gun control law. We have to. And only us, the government, can keep you guys safe. Well, I don't know about that. Well, how are we going to do that? Are we going to just take all their guns and we're going to outlaw guns outright? No. We're going to start with high capacity magazines. We'll say, oh, well, you only can use 10 round magazines. No more 30s. If you go over 10, you'll get locked up and get caught with them. I think I like that. But is that enough? You might be right. What we also need to do, we also need to outlaw semi-automatic firearms. We'll have another shooting occur. So we'll start with the magazine, boom. Then we'll have a shooting, another shooting. We'll say, well, this guy had, 10 round magazines, but he was able to reload them so quickly because he used a semi-automatic firearm and was able to pull the trigger a bunch of times. And so then we'll outlaw semi-automatic firearms. I don't know about that. That's a little bit extreme, right? What do you think about that? You think that's a little extreme? It might be. We might want to start with assault rifles. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. That's where we'll go. We'll outlaw assault rifles so that, they're big and scary, right? We'll do that. We'll have the guy, we'll have the guy use an assault rifle, and we'll tell them, oh, it's a deadly assault rifle, blah, blah, blah. And then we'll have another one with a handgun. It'll be semi-automatic. And then we can move on to outlawing all semi-automatic firearms. Yeah. That's what we'll do. And then we'll just do every few months, every couple years. I don't know if that's enough, man. We might have to have a mass shooting every day. Yeah, we're going to have 300 mass shootings in 300 days. Well, how are we going to make that work? That's a lot of false flaggery. Can we pull that off? No, we just changed the definition of mass shooting to include the shooting where 3 or more people are involved. And they don't have to die. No, they don't have to die. We'll just say that 3 or more people are mass shooting. Fucking genius. All right, well, let's get to work. What we'll also do, we'll get the CDC. We'll create a center. We'll have the Center for Disease Control. We'll have them tell people that, hey, children are firearms. We'll just tell people that 20-year-olds and 18 to 19-year-olds are children. What do you think about that? That might fucking work. That might fucking work. People from age 18 to 21 are children now. Bada boom, bada bing. You got your leading cause of death for children. Right there. Fucking brilliant. All that they can extract more wealth from the alpaca farmer. But it's not just about the wealth. It's about the illusion of security. It's about the illusion of safety. It's about the illusion of infrastructure. Oh, because we can't have any infrastructure without government. Oh, no. No, no. We have to create the illusion that we are needed to get what we want from these motherfuckers. Yes. I mean, this is pinky in the brain level fucking goddamn machinations right here, y'all. This is what it's all about. That's what it's all about, y'all. At the end of the day. No two ways about it. And I wish I could read y'all comment, y'all the chat right now, but like I said, my glasses are smudged a little bit and I can't even make them out. So yeah, it kind of sucks. But I'm gonna get on off this live stream, y'all. And you guys have a great Sunday. But just think about what I said. What I'm saying makes sense? What I'm saying makes sense? Does that scenario I just painted for y'all sound like the government is out for your best interest? Or is it about greasing the right palms to make the right moves to get the power that you want? Anyway, much love, like, share, and subscribe. And let's make sure we keep marching forward toward freedom. Peace.